Good afternoon to everyone. Today's topic is WordPress authentication and access control testing. My name is Yambu Balan. LinkedIn. This is my LinkedIn profile, and this is my job profile. This is the agenda. Introduction to WordPress security, WordPress authentication basics, WordPress user role and access control, common authentication and vulnerabilities, broken access control in WordPress, WordPress security testing methodology, and hands-on demonstration, security best practices and mitigations, conclusions and QAs. Why WordPress security is matter? WordPress powers of 45%. WordPress currently power more than 40% of websites, all websites on the internet, because of this massive po- massive popularity. It becomes a very attractive target for attacker. Attacker often automate their attacks using scanning tools to identify WordPress websites and test them for vulnerability. Some of the most attacker against WordPress includes brute force login attacks, where attacker try thousands of password combinations to gain access to account. Another attack is privilege escalation. Why privilege escalation were low? Why privilege escalation means low privilege escalation. User gain administrative access due to vulnerability. So we also see broken access control, where unauthorized user can access restricted resources. Credential stuffing occurs when attacker use leaked credential from other data breaches to log into WordPress account. So most WordPress hacks don't use complex exploit. Attacker usually break weak authentication system. In this in, in this session, we will test WordPress authentication and access control vulnerability. These are the common attacks for WordPress sites. Brute force login, privilege escalation, broken authentication, broken access control, and credential stuffing. These are the common attacks in WordPress. Learning objectives. After this session, you will learn WordPress authentication workflow, Word, WordPress user roles, authentication vulnerability, access control vulnerability, practical testing using security tools. Mm, WordPress authentication. Authentication is a process of verifying the identity of user before granting access to system. Uh, when a user when a user attempt to access a website or application, the system need to confirm that user is who they claim to be. This is usually done by requesting credentials such as username and password. Authentication can also involve multiple factors. For example, something the user knows, such as a password, something user has, such as a mobile phone receiving an OTP, something user is, such as biometric authentication like fingerprint or face recognitions. Next, WordPress authentication flows. In WordPress authentication process follow several steps. First, user access the login page of the website. Then the user submit their username and password through the login form. Next, WordPress verifies this credential by checking them against the user record stored in the database. The WordPress creates a session and authentication cookies for that user. Finally, user is granted access to WordPress dashboard where they can perform action based on their assigned role. So the login, so the login page using how to HTTPS double slash try dot this is a site name. This is the login page for WordPress. You have enter a username and a password means they go to inside we are inside the dashboard now after enter the username and password. Next WordPress login page. WordPress login page is the main entry point where user authentication themselves. By default, WordPress login page are located at wplogin.php or wp hyphen admin. This two we enter means we have visible the login page and we have to enter a username and a password means we will go inside the dashboard, WordPress dashboard in authentication methods. WordPress supports several authentication methods. The most common method is traditional username and password authentication. In some cases, user may also log in using their email address instead of username. Many websites also implemented two-factor authentication, which adds an additional layer of security by requiring a second verification step. WordPress also use cookies-based authentication to maintain session after login. In some advanced setup, WordPress sites also support API-based authentication for integration and external services. WordPress authentication cookies. Once a user successfully log in, WordPress create authentication cookies to maintain the user session. The cookies allows the system to remember that the user is logged in without asking for credential on every request. Some important cookies included WordPress underscore hash value and WordPress underscore logged underscore in underscore hash value and WordPress underscore test underscore cookies. These are the some important cookies. And then if attacker manage to steal these cookies through method like a session hijacking or cross-site scripting attack, they may be able to impersonate the user without knowing the password. Authentication attack surface. Authentication attack surface refers to all entry point where authentication occurs or can be attacked. In WordPress, the most abused entry point is login page. However, attacker may also target the XML RPC endpoint, which allows a remote communication with the WordPress. Another attack surface is WordPress STAP, which may expose authentication mechanism. Additionally, attacker often analyze admin panel or plugins and themes because they may be introduce new authentication endpoints or vulnerabilities. I show you. This is a basic command for candy site. First URL http enter means this will analyze basically full WP scan. So wait a minute, it will show the full means not fully. It will show some important basic need we require. This command will show you that URL enter means wait a minute. It will taking sometimes due to network issue. Okay, I think this take a huge time. So I explained simply this will enter this command I will enter means this will show this site which theme are included, which version WordPress this like details will show. But themes which themes we are using this site that will did not show. It will show means attacker can easily attack the site. So these are the uses of this command. I exceed from this terminal and back to slide due to network issue, I think. So that command will take some time. So after sometimes I will show this command output. WordPress access control. After authentication verifies the user identity, the next step is access control. Access control determines what action the authentication user is allowed to perform. For example, an administrator can install plugins and modify site settings, while subscriber may only be able to read content only. Proper ad control is essential because it prevents unauthorized user from accessing sensitive features or performing administrative access. WordPress user roles. WordPress implement access control using a system called role-based access controller. Each user is assigned a specific role that determine their permissions. For example, administrator has full control over the site, over the website. Editor can only manage and publish the content. Author can create and publish their own posts. Contributor can write posts but cannot publish them. Subscriber have most limited permissions and mainly manage their profile. Role permission. To understand the role permission better, let's consider the administrator role. An administrator has the highest level of privilege within a WordPress site. They can install plugins, delete user, modify website settings, and manage almost every aspects of the site. Because of the high level of control, administrator are primary target for attacker. These are the install plugins, delete users, modify settings are the administrator's role. All have access to administrator. Access control risk. When access control mechanism are not implemented correctly, several security risks may occur. Example is a privilege escalation where user gain high privilege then instant. Another risk is broken role permission, where user are incorrectly granted permissions. Attacker may also exploit focused browsing where they directly access restricted URLs. In vulnerability such as insecure direct object reference or IDAR can expose sensitive data. If proper authentication checks are missing, it will be exposed. Watch top 10 connections. These vulnerabilities are closely related to WhatsApp, which list the most critical with application security risk. For broken access control is currently ranked as number one risk in WhatsApp 10. WordPress authentication issue is also related to identification and authentication failure. Security misconfiguration and cryptography failure may also affect WordPress environment. If they are not properly secured, this will be affected. I mentioned this is WordPress Top 10 2021. Now it will be changed WordPress Top 10 2025, but WordPress Top 10 2025 will be not implemented in every company. All are using a WhatsApp in 2021 only. In future, they will migrate to WhatsApp 10 2025. It's the authentication vulnerabilities. Now let's some common authentication vulnerabilities that occurs in WordPress application. Authentication vulnerability occurs when weaknesses in login systems allows attacker to gain unauthorized access to user account. One example, brute force attack where attacker try thousands of password combination on login page until they find the correct one. Another vulnerability is username enumeration, where attacker identify valid username by analyzing login response. Weak password policies are also see problem because many users choose simple password that can be easily guessed or cracked. Easily guessed or cracked. So these are the common authentication vulnerability. Bro, brute force attack, username enumeration, weak password policies, and some credential stuffing, missing missing multi-factor authentication, XML, RPCL, abuse also. Just another in credential stuffing in this attack, attacker use username and password that were leaked in previous data breaches and try them on WordPress login page. Mm, Since since many users reuse the same password across multiple websites, multiple websites, attacker can often gain access to account without needing to guess the password. Another issue is missing multi-factor authentication. Without an additional verification, step such as a OTP or authentication apps, a compromised password immediately lead to account takeover. XML RPC means is another vulnerability because it allows multiple login attempts within a single request, which makes brute force attack faster. These are the impacts of this. Um, these are the impacts of authentication vulnerabilities, like unauthorized account access, privilege escalation to admin account, website takeover or data compromises. Username enumeration. Username enumeration occurs when an attacker can identify valid username or website. This happens when the login page returns different error different error message depending on whether the user exists or not. If the system shows invalid username for one request and incorrect password for another request, attacker can easily determine which username are valid. Security tester often use tools like WP scan to automate username enumeration and identify valid accounts. Um, I will show you one command. WP scan and enumerate, enumerate you. It will source the username. WP scan help to me. It will source. It will source the all commands username just okay. WP scan hyphen enumerate you. No, it is not available. So let's back to this slide. Plug username enumeration. This is the command wp scan URL https colon double slash we target site and enter a target site and enumerate user. U means username. Okay, this will enter the means it will source the username for this site. Manual testing means enter a wp hyphen login dot php. It will show some manual testing. Then brute force attack. The attack brute force attack is technique where attacker repeatedly try different username and password combinations to gain access to account. This attack is usually automated using tools such as Hydra, Brute Interpreter, WP Scan. If a website does not implement protections such as a login rate limiting or CAPTCHA or account logout mechanism, attacker may evenly guess the correct password. So we have to implement this all things. XML RPC authentication attack means XML RPC is communication protocol used by WordPress that allows a external application such as a mobile app or remote publishing tools to interact with the website. However, attacker often abuse external RPC endpoints to perform brute force attacks. Using a system.multicall functions, attacker can attempt many password guessing within a single request, which makes brute force attacks much, much faster than attacking a normal login page. Session management issue. Session management is responsible for maintaining the user login state after authentication. Once a user login is successful, WordPress creates the session cookies that allows the user to remain logged in without entering credential again. Session management vulnerability can occur. So Mm, for example, attacker may steal session cookies through session hijacking, manipulate session identifier through session fixing, or exploit insecure cookies configuration. If session tokens are exposed, attacker may be able to impersonate legitimate users. So these are the common session management issues like a session hijacking, session friction, insecure cookie configuration, long session timeout, session token exposed, access control vulnerabilities. Access control vulnerabilities is broken access control occurs when a user can access a resource or perform action beyond their authorized permissions. For example, low privilege user such as a subscriber might directly access restricted admin page like wp-admin slash plugins.php or wp-admin slash themes.php. If the system does not properly verify user permissions, the user may gain access to administrator functionality. This type of vulnerability is extremely dangerous and is correctly ranked as number one risk in WAR top 10. So we have to check once this also broken access control. Then privilege escalation. Privilege escalation occurs when a user gain higher permission than they are sur- supposed to have. For example, subscriber or author may gain administrative privilege due to vulnerability in plugins or themes. This can happen because of improper role validation, insecure API endpoints, or parameter manipulation in request. One of the attack One of the attacker gain administrator access, they can completely control the website. These are the common causes. Vulnerable plugins or themes, improper roles and permission checks, insecure API endpoints, and parameter manipulation in request. Forced browsing. Forced browsing occurs when an attacker directly accesses restricted pages by manually entering the URL. For example, a user may attempt to access wp-admin slash plugins.php even if the website navigation does not allow them to reach that page. If application fails to check the user permissions properly, the attacker may gain unauthorized access. Security tester often use tools like Dirbuster, GoBuster, or GoShoot to discover the hidden pages and endpoints. We will show you search. Search using it will means it will start to testing hidden pages and endpoints or not. It will analyzing hidden pages or not. The level thoughts and combinations it will be checked. Any hidden pages or government. And this is donation confirmation. This one and this make it will show so many things. So we have to stop here. This or it will take so two times. So I stop here. So see 5% only it will complete everything, not 5% it would have it completed. So I will stop here. These are the hidden directories in this site. This like we have to check each site or when you open R in the directories any findings you have to then insecure direct object reference. It means IDA. IDA, IDA is access control vulnerability where internal identifiers such as the user ID or file IDs are exposed. The application does not properly verify authorization. Authorization attacker can modify this identifiers to access other user data. For example, changing a user ID in a request might allow attacker to view or modify another user account's information. This can lead to serious data exposure and privilege escalation, which means uh, user user not ID equal to 1. This will enter the means it will show something. This is that page cannot be found. So this will be developing site only. So that is like but main site we have to enter something source another plugin based access control issue. Many WordPress plugins introduce security risks if permission checks are not properly implemented. Over properly developed plugins may introduce security vulnerability if permission checks are not implemented properly. For example, plugins might expose an API endpoints that allows unauthorized user to perform administrator attacks action. These vulnerabilities can lead to privilege escalation, unauthorized data access, or modifications of websites. These are the common issues. Uh, Missing authorization checks, privilege escalation, unauthorized access to admin feature, insecure REST API, improper validation, role validation. These are the impacts. Testing methodologies. Testing methodologies to identify this vulnerability. Security tester follows a structured. The first step is information gathering, and next is enumeration. Enumeration where tools are used to identify user plugins and system details, and then authentication testing. Authentication testing and access control testing to identify weaknesses. Um, vulnerability exploitation means vulnerabilities are discovered, testing attempts controlled, exploitation to confirm their impacts. Finally, all findings are documented in a security report. These are the testing methodology steps. WordPress enumeration tools. WordPress enumeration tools is important phase in Illumination tool is important phase in security testing, where tester gather detailed information about the target system. Common tools used for WordPress enumeration include WP Scan, Nmap, or directory discovery tools like Researcher or GoBusters. These tools helps tester identify WordPress version, install the plugins, expose the endpoints, and other potential attack surfaces. These are the common enumeration tools: WP scan and natural depth search and GoBuster. WP scan enumeration. WP scan is specialized security tool designed for WordPress vulnerability scan. It allows a penetration tester to detect a WordPress version enumeration user, identify identify the installed plugins and themes, and check for known vulnerabilities. Using WP scan, tester can quickly gather important information about target website before performing deeper security tests. I show you command WP scan icon URL. I already entered it. Now it's command not check once. This will show the all information gathering details from this one command, WordPress version, enumerate the username or anyone not, which plugins we installed and which themes we installed. It will show from this command, but it will take two time. So okay, we have to stop and go back to slide. Nmap WordPress detection. Nmap is powerful network scanning tool used to identify open ports and running services on server. During WordPress security testing, Nmap helps tester identify web service such as HTTP or HTTPS running a target server. It can also detect server technologies and additional services that may expose the WordPress sites. Nmap, we have to see the ports for HTTPS colon Kaira dot space. No, it will not put any ports and the top. Why means they did not uh, install any, they did not put any ports or that like open ports we have any open ports mean it will show these ports are open, these ports didn't open, that like it would be show directory discovery. And directory discovery is the process of finding hidden directories and files on the web server. This directories may include sensitive endpoints such as admin panel, backup files, and configuration files, testing environment. Tools like Researcher or GoBuster are commonly used to perform directory discovery and identify potential attack surface. I have already entered this command. This it will show all directories. In this directories, we have to analyze one by one, which any directories will show the deleted files or any configuration files, any configuration files or not, any certificates or they we have to see in this manually one by one. This is hands-on setups. Hacker machine, Kali, tools used WordPress, WC Scan, Hydra, Bobsuit, and this is most used tools for WordPress sites. This is, but we do simultaneously hands-on also, so that's why only uh, defense and best practices. Securing authentication. Protect a WordPress account unauthorized access and authentication attacks. Um, Several security best practices should be implemented. The websites should enforce a strong password policies and enable two-factor authentication. Uh, Limit login attempts. Disable XML or PC. Implement CAPTCHA on the login page. Change default login URL. Use HTTPS for secure login. These are the key features, key security practices WordPress developers. Secure access control. Secure access control ensures that user can only perform action permitted by their assigned role. Website should follow the principles of least privilege, where user are given only the permission they need. Proper authorization checks should be implemented for all sensitive functions, like plugins and themes should all plugins and themes should also be reviewed regularly to ensure they do not introduce access control vulnerabilities. Mm, these are the key security principles, least privilege principle, role-based access control, proper authentication checks, restrict direct URL access, secure plugins and themes. We have to implement this all things also. Mm, next, finally conclusion. WordPress authentication protects access to the application and the user accounts, where authentication mechanism can lead to brute force attacks, credential thefts, and account compromise. Improper access control can allow unauthorized users to perform restrict actions or escalate privilege. Security testing helps identify authentication and authorized weaknesses before attack exploited them. Implementing strong security practices such as strong password, multi-factor authentication, and proper role management significance implement the WordPress. In basically, we have to implement this all means the site will be little bit secure then, like login attempts, rate limiting, and then we have to enable login attempts, then captcha after two-factor authentication. This like settings will be enabled for first previous itself.
This is our channel. They here posted so many videos. These all videos are available at recorded session also. You go to this site and search means the webinar conducted webinar will become. You go to see any video at any time. This is accessible. All the videos are recorded only, so we can whoever can know, whoever can want, access it any time. Uh, this is our WhatsApp channel. You can contact this also. If you have itself also, you have to ask any queries means further. Hereafter, you have any questions means you also the ask that itself also. Okay, thank you.